welcome here as we get set for our first race of the third season of the NNSCRA Pizza Hut X Series, getting ready for the running of the Power Shares 300 QQQ here today at Daytona International Speedway. What a race week it's been already. We had an unbelievable clash. We've had pole day qualifying. We've had the Can-Am duels. Yesterday was the debut race of the debut series, the TaxSlayer Truck Series, where we had a photo finish, 2/100ths of a second, the separation that got Tony Green his first NSRA win, and we're just getting started. This is our second of 3 main events here this weekend as we get set for today's 40-lap event. This could be the kind of race that could make or break a driver's season, because unlike the TaxSlayer Truck Series, where only 8 spots are up for grabs, there are 12 spots up for grabs in the chase for the championship for this series. So that means more opportunity for drivers to be able to race their way in, and what better way to start than with a checkered flag here at one of the greatest speedways on the circuit, Daytona International Speedway. On the pole for today's race is James Qualls. Now, Qualls has quite a historical repertoire in this series. This is his 3rd consecutive season that he's driving the number 27. In the 2 seasons he has been in the Pizza Hut X Series, he has gotten 2 wins in each season, and he has also made the chase for the championship. Could he have another multi-win season? Will he make the chase for the championship? I'll tell you, I think he would take all of those, plus a championship trophy, as Qualls will be trying and start his season off with a win here at Daytona. Alongside of him, Ralph Mason. We saw him in the final 10 races of the season last year, replacing Seth Cole. He impressed them so much at Backmarker Motorsports, he's back full-time, and that number 99 sponsored by Andy Fox Late Model Series Fries. We'll see what he can do now in a full-time season in that Chevrolet. Lots of names that we'll recognize through the field, some new names, and some drivers that spent time in the Hershey's Cup Series last season but now have moved down to a lower tier to run full-time. We'll document all that in just a moment, but for now, we're going to go down trackside, get those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Command to fire them up has been given, and the Pizza Hut X Series official Chevy Corvette pace car will lead the 42-car grid off of pit road. Looks like everybody's going to get off pit lane all right. We saw yesterday that one driver had an issue before even coming to the grid, and that's something we just do not like to see here. We like to see everybody be able to at least have a shot to get to the green flag. Whether they'll make it to the checkered flag or not, that basically is in their hands, but hate to see any mechanical issues, anything like that, plague a driver from even being able to start an NSRA event. Gone back through the field. Yep, looks like everybody's going to be able to take the green flag. 40 laps of racing here today, which means we're going to be splitting it up into 3 stages. And, you know, we saw yesterday that stage point's so important. The driver who won the race, Tony Green, the TaxSlayer Truck Series race, didn't even leave Daytona as the points leader because Rick Cervantes had more stage points than he did. So Cervantes, even though he finished runner-up, he's heading into Las Vegas in a couple of weeks as the points leader. So stage points, oh so important, and we saw last season in both Pizza Hut X Series and Hershey's Cup Series as well, stage points so important as to, you know, being able to add on to maybe a win you got earlier on in the season as to whether or not you're going to get one of those spots in the chase for the championship. But we'll be splitting it up here today into 10, 10, and, no, I'm saying this wrong. Splitting it up into 10, 15, 15. That's what it is. My mind was wandering there for a minute. 10, 15, and 15 is the stage splits here today, but we're getting set to go racing here in the Power Shares 300 QQQ at Daytona. Let's roll! Already that outside line gets Ralph Mason the race lead. Most of the time we see drivers this weekend be able to get that outside line going once they reach turn 1, maybe in the middle of turns 1 and 2, but Ralph Mason got going immediately at the exit of the tri-oval. Not exactly sure why. I don't know if there's maybe not as much rubber up there, so tires don't slide as much. I mean, James Qualls did not get going, and Ralph Mason didn't jump it. Mason just managed to be able to accelerate a lot better than Qualls did on that start. So Mason out in front, Qualls into second, Carson Gum now slides into third. So Backmarker Motorsports already early on in this thing has 2 drivers up inside the top 3. Best battle is going on back there for the 4th, 5th, 6th on back spots. The 6 of Glenn Douthitt. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And now Carson Gum moving by James Qualls. So Backmarker Motorsports 1-2. You also have Phil Parker back there. J Jefferson, the 0-5. Madeline Crenshaw. Didn't see her until she made that move there on the 6. That's for the 5th position. You got 2 easy for me to say, Backmarker Motorsports cars up here 1-2, but you've also got 2 of the Michael Norman Motorsports cars in 4th and 5th, the 5 of Phil Parker, the 3 of Madeline Crenshaw. So teammates are finding each other very early on in this one. Speaking of teammates, they're going to battle up front for the race lead. Carson Gum to the bottom, Ralph Mason up top. James Qualls going to give the drafting help up higher, Ralph Mason. So Mason will hang on to the lead at least for the moment. It's Chevy up here inside the top 5. Then you got the Ford of Glenn Douthitt in the 6th position. Another Ford in Scott Roush. Then you get back to another Chevrolet, couple of Chevrolets, Cole Deaver and Christian Merrick Jr. Defending winner of this race is not in this field. That was Kyle Lynch. However, the car that he put in victory lane is in this field. Cole Deaver right there, that Bass Pro Shops car. 4th on the inside line, trouble in the back! That was, I believe, Benny Watson getting turned off the nose of A Baranauskas. Both cars down the apron. Baranauskas comes up, makes contact with Chris Dollerton, makes more contact with M Pontzer, and there we go! The big one has struck here in Daytona. Oh my goodness, the car's flipping! And the track is littered with race cars. Osborne, Dawson Wise, I see Chloe Ericsson, Daniel Olson, Matt McIntire. The car that was flipping, I believe, was Ashlyn Boyd in the 20. Dougie Shear's involved. Pontzer's involved. And I think there's a lot more drivers involved that we don't even know yet. Kyle Langeland in it. There's Boyd. There's Benny Watson, former champion. Ryan George. As the caution's out, and Carson Gum beat his teammate Ralph Mason to the line, and he will lead us under our first caution of the day, but that did not take long. The big one striking here at Daytona, just 4 laps in to today's race, and it has claimed a lot of drivers. I mean, we'll definitely be going back looking at the replay, but from what I saw, there was some contact between Baranauskas and Watson off of 4. They both managed to save it, but both cars were down below that double yellow line. When they tried merging back up, at least the 2 car, they didn't give a lot of room, and Baranauskas had to fight for real estate to get into turn 1. That's what caused the wreck. So, as we are under our first caution of the day, Carson Gum out in front. Let's take a look back at a replay of what happened. The big one has struck. I've been boasting all week about how we've ended up having the caution flag not really out at all this entire weekend, and just like that, carnage strikes in the beginning laps of today's race. Alright, we're looking back here out of turn 4. And you'll see the red car right there. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. I think Baranauskas got into his left rear. Benny Watson's, that is. His car almost went airborne when he went down in that transition from the racetrack to the apron. Now, watch this. She's down on the yellow line, down on the yellow line. I think Watson, they let him back up. He was able to slot in behind Dawson Wise in the 22. But right here, watch this. Baranauskas going to try and come back up onto the racing surface. And right there, well, Dollerton gave her room. She door bangs him and then goes back down below the yellow line, then tries to come back up, and there's a 3-wide situation there. Her best spot was to slot in right beside Dollerton, and there you see it. Pontzer, nowhere to go. Osborne, Patrick Curtis, and the 0 was collected in that. There goes Ashlyn Boyd in the 20. We're watching the 20 car because she got clobbered by someone. I think it was by Watson. She's going to drift right down in front of the 24, and there you go. Wow. There's Dougie Shears. He gets airborne. There's Ryan George, Chloe Ericsson, William Brock, Daniel Olson. There's Chelsea Bowles in the 31. Looks like Alexander Rowe. I'm sorry, not Alexander Rowe. That's Lagasee, rather. Al Lagasee in the 90. He got collected. Kyle Keith's got damaged in the 29. You see him going around the outside there. There is Pontzer. There's Kyle Langeland, Patrick Curtis, Osborne, Dawson Wise in the 22. There's the Ashlyn Boyd car after that wild ride. Yeah, it was indeed the 90 of Al Lagasee. I get that car and Alexander Rowe confused. They're both running similar schemes, just a little bit alternated. There's Dougie Shears, the Little Caesars Chevrolet, all crunched up. And even with that being said, there could be some other drivers that got some damage from that we did not see. Could have gotten a slight piece of that incident, but definitely a lot of drivers with some pretty extensive damage. A lot of drivers with high hopes coming in here to Daytona. And just like that, their day has come to a very early end. And a very interesting caution in terms of strategy. I mean, not even teammates on the same page. Carson Gum decided with a handful of others to come to pit road this time. Ralph Mason, however, decided to stay out and thus will inherit the race lead when we go back green on lap number 9. Cole Deaver will restart behind him in second, Jacob Rose third, then it's Christian Merrick Jr. Those two former teammates, they were teammates last year from Joe Gibbs Racing, talking about Rose and Merrick Jr. Then you got Phil Parker in 5th, Scott Roush 6th, Matt Daleo in 7th. 8th place is going to be Aiden Shepard with Jordan Anderson in 9th, and completing your top 10 will be Angel Navarro. Matt McIntire lines up on the inside line, 1 lap down to the race leaders. 2 laps down, rather. But at least he's going to be able to continue. Same cannot be said for Kyle Langeland, Joshua Osborne, Ashley Boyd, Patrick Curtis, Daniel Olson, Dawson Wise, Benny Watson, Dougie Shears, Ryan George, Chloe Ericsson, and Chelsea Bowles. They are all going to finish behind the wall in today's race, and we haven't even reached a quarter of the way through this event yet. Carson Gum, who came to pit road, he was the first of the cars to hit pit lane. He will restart in 19th. As the green flag is about to come back out here. We're back underway at Daytona. Cole Deaver, who was one of the final 4 to battle for the championship last year at Auto Club, trying to pick up what would be his second career win in his Pizza Hut X Series career, and he'll go to the inside. Again, as I mentioned, Kyle Lynch went to victory lane in this very car last season. It was different sponsorship, but it was still a number 15 Chevrolet. So Cole Deaver trying to hope that lightning strikes twice. Christian Merrick Jr. slots there into 3rd. He's got a big run coming there. Looks like he's got some damage, actually. I might be wrong, but it looks like, well, I guess not. Whoa, trouble back there, Jacob Rose. Contact with Aiden Shepard, and he was down on the apron there through 3 and 4. Keeps it straight, though, and keeps it going. Close call there for the 18. But I was going to go back and talk about Christian Merrick Jr., how he has a win in the Pizza Hut X Series, and it was at Talladega last season, so he knows how to get around super speedways. Another driver knows how to get around super speedways. How about Matt Daleo? Won the very first Pizza Hut X Series race here back in Season 1 when he beat out Caitlin Sang in a photo finish. That was the first of 3 wins that he would have back in Season 1. He had a win last season as well. I think, if I remember correctly, that came at Dodge Motor. Meanwhile, up front, Cole Deaver in that 15 car having a really good run, but he's about to have things look a little bit brighter for him as Angel Navarro is right there as well. Now, both those cars are out of Gardner Motorsports, or Gardner Racing rather, and they are teammates. So if Navarro can get up here, and the 15 can work together. But he's going to go low. He's going to go low and help Ralph Mason on the bottom of the racetrack. That's a little surprising. And don't look now, but Ralph Mason may have some reinforcements too, because here comes the defending champion of the series. Elijah Gilbert is fighting his way up. Almost, I think he just took the 10th position. There you see him on the inside of the 11. That red and black, number 55, sponsored this week by Monopoly. We'll have to see if he advances to go and collects $200 or if he gets sent directly to jail. Getting a visit from Jason, Friday the 13th, Chevrolet of M Crenshaw to the inside. There you see the rookie stripes brightly displayed on the back of her Chevrolet, but Michael Norman Motorsports, very well known for their restrictor plate program. No surprise to see her running well up here. Phil Parker not too far back as well, so the battle we knew we were going to see even as early here at Daytona is happening. Mac Marker Motorsports versus Gardner Racing versus William Brock Motorsports versus Michael Norman Motorsports. I mean, they're all up here towards the front of the field. Cole Deaver continues to show the way, but it's been a hot potato, has that lead back and forth, and now Matthew Daleo enters into the fray. And there's Crenshaw right behind him, pushing that 12 car. You got about maybe, I would say, 13, 14 cars in this lead pack, if you count the stragglers back here of Jordan Anderson in the 11, Phil Parker in the 5, and Alexander Rowe in the 09, who actually is the defending winner of the Pizza Hut X Series. He won the last race of the Pizza Hut X Series last season at Auto Club. Then you got a second group back here with Michael Haas, William Brock, Scott Roush, J Qualls, and A Baranauskas. And a third group, Carson Gum, Chris Dollerton, J Jefferson, Len Dewitt, along with Kyle Keith, James Shelly, RJ Reynolds there by himself. P.J. Williams quite a ways back here. Matt McIntire, the lap car. There's Z Flickinger. There's P.J. Williams in the 48. There is A Lagasee along with M Pontzer. They both ended up getting involved in the wreck, so no surprise they're a little off the pace. A new race leader. That last lap was led by Ralph Mason, but now, for the first time in her NSCRA career, Madeline Crenshaw is going to lead a lap here today at Daytona. Last thing these drivers up here in this lead pack want to see is a yellow flag. And I think from Carson Gum on back, they'd like to see a caution. Now this is going to be interesting because Carson Gum's quite a ways back, but remember, he came to pit road when we had that caution back on lap 4 and the pits were open on lap 5. So he's about 5, maybe 6 laps to the good over the rest of these drivers on fuel. So if this thing goes into a long green flag run, these drivers will have to pit. Carson Gum and those others will have the luxury of being able to stay out a few laps more. Whoa! Contact between Matthew Daleo and A Navarro. That was a little close off of 4. Nice job by both those drivers to keep their cars straight. Matthew Daleo and A Navarro both took part in the debut season of the Pizza Hut X Series. Navarro drove the number 25 car back in season 1. Matthew Daleo drove the 78. How about Austin LaPlante? Good run there for the 16. Out of Roush Fenway Racing. He's now battling with Ralph Mason for 3rd place. Haven't talked much about him. We were documenting his teammates, Aiden Shepard and Glenn Hewitt, but good job right now for the Lily Diabetes Ford Mustang, which found victory lane for the very first time in its history in the Pizza Hut X Series last season with James Shelly. Another driver we should probably give a shout out as well to that's up in this lead group, 42, Noah Cars. This is his debut season in the Pizza Hut X Series and having a very good run is the former Hershey's Cup Series chaser. While up front, oh, caution's out. Yellow flag is out for the 2nd time here today, and it looks like they're going to be racing back. Looks like the leader was past the start-finish line when the caution came out. So now, I was going to say, it looked like Cole Deaver was pretty content to ride behind Madeline Crenshaw, but will he be now, or will he try stepping out of line to try and lead when we go back under pacing? Doesn't have anybody behind him, so I'm not certain even if he made a move if he'd be able to work, and there's smoke off turn 4. So that's where the incident was. Wow, looks like we had quite a number of drivers go into some slides as Madeline Crenshaw will lead us under our second caution of the day, just closing in on the halfway point of this race. And that throws the fuel strategy out the window for drivers like Carson Gum and others who would have been able to inherit a lot of good track position had this thing gone green longer. And this may put everybody back on the same page as far as fuel strategy as well. I would be surprised if Carson Gum and company stayed out. I think everybody's going to come to pit road this time. But as we're under caution for the second time today, let's take a look and see what brought out this yellow flag. This was in the second pack of race cars that we saw. They were trailing about maybe 5-6 seconds back behind the lead pack. And right there, looks like William Brock got Scott Roush in the left rear, turns him down to Michael Haas. Baranauskas gets involved in that one as well. I think that's Alexander Rowe as well, got a piece of that. And then, whoa, Brock just narrowly avoids his teammate. Haas goes into a slide, Roush goes into a slide. The two's into a slide. Shelly does a nice job getting through, and we basically just had 3 cars slide through the grass and towards the pit road entrance, through the tri-oval there on the apron. A lot of bouncing off each other. It's amazing we didn't have more cars involved. So, for the most part, Roush, Baranauskas, and Haas, the reason for this, our most recent yellow flag. This is going to bunch everyone back up again. Let's go back to green. Well, this is why I'm up in the commentator's booth, not down there on a pit box or behind the wheel of a race car, because I said I was pretty certain everybody was going to come to pit road this time. The drivers that had stayed out on the last caution would come in. The drivers that came to pit road on the last caution would come in. But I was incorrect in that assumption, as Madeline Crenshaw decided to stay out, along with Austin LaPlante, J Qualls, Carson Gum, C Dollerton. A number of these drivers had come to pit road back on lap 5, so deciding track position is more important. They all decide to stay out, and as a result, they will restart in the top 5. M McIntire lines up in the inside line again, as he is still trapped 2 laps down to the leader, but he will pick up at least another spot on track as Scott Roush has taken his number 38 behind the wall. He'll finish 31st. That'll move M McIntire up to the 30th position. First car to hit pit road was Ralph Mason. He'll restart in 13th, so the top 12 did not come to pit road under this, our most recent yellow flag. We are now past the halfway point of this race. We've worked 2 cautions, the first one involving a lot of drivers and a number of drivers already back behind the wall. Second caution that we're working involving mostly 3 drivers that spun. You can see the skid marks there off 4 into the tri-oval. Green flag back out on lap 22. So now comes the big question. What was the fuel window for these drivers? Because I don't know how far these drivers that decided to stay out will be able to go now, but what I can tell you is with that caution coming out around lap 18, lap 19, that means the drivers that came to pit road are now anywhere from 13 to 15 laps to the good on fuel over the drivers that decided to stay out. So that's a huge gap as opposed to 3, 4, 5 laps that we had before. Rookies out in front, though, 1 and 2. Crenshaw and LaPlante. And you've got J Qualls and Carson Gum there in 3rd and 4th. The field getting a little spread out as they were all trying to maneuver their way around the lap machine of M McIntire. But with it being only two-car tandems up here at the front, I don't think it'll take very long for that bigger pack back there to gobble them all up and everybody to be up in a big group again. I mean, those drivers that stayed out may have dug themselves into a hole. I mean, let's put this into perspective. Those drivers that came to pit road under that last caution, they came to pit road, what, about 13 to 15 laps between cautions. So that puts them right on the bubble of maybe being able to make it the rest of the way. Those other drivers that stayed out, they're more than likely going to have to hit pit road before we hit the checkers. And as soon as I say that, here comes Carson Gum to the pit lane. This is not an unscheduled pit stop for the 98. He was not going to make it. So now maybe the question is, can those drivers that came to pit road under this latest caution, can they make it the rest of the way, or will they have to pit again? Maybe that's what Carson Gum and a number of these leaders are banking on, is that they'll be going green flag the rest of the way, and that everybody cannot make it from where we restarted to the checkered flag on the fuel they have in their tanks. I thought we were going to end up having the top two get gobbled up, but that's not the case. They have been able to pull out to a pretty sizable lead, about a second and a half. And then you go back here to this group. Well, I guess the two-car pack of Qualls and Gum got eaten up after Carson Gum had to bail for pit road, but you see the gap grew a little bit actually between third place Phil Parker and the race leader Madeline Crenshaw. Because these drivers are battling side by side, not producing quite as much speed as they would had they be running in single file. And now Carson Gum is going to fall a lap down to the race leaders. So he is going to try and merge with this group and hope and pray that all the rest of these drivers are going to have to pit before the checkered flag waves. Jacob Rowe's big run into the turn 3. Rowe's best finish in his Pizza Hut X Series career, a third place, and that was back at Talladega Superspeedway, the same race that then teammate Christian Merrick Jr. went to victory lane at. That time by another 4/10 gained, it looks like, between the top two. The reason being, LaPlante seems very content to just ride behind the three of Madeline Crenshaw. But the big problem, like I said, these are two drivers who did not come to pit road under that last yellow, which means they are anywhere from 5 to 10 laps short on fuel. They will probably not be able to make it without pitting. Which means this race falls right into the hands of those drivers back in that third on backpack that are trying to catch them. I mean, I don't know if these drivers are banking on a caution flag to save them. Just don't know what the strategy is. Whatever it is, though, we're going to have to see how it comes into play. They've gained a little bit more ground again on that pack. About another 3/10. But again, every lap that ticks away is one more lap of fuel consumed and gets us even closer to finding out, can Crenshaw and LaPlante make it? I don't think they can. Especially with the fact right now that Madeline Crenshaw is the one that is cutting the wind for LaPlante. She's doing the most work with her race car. And the car that is out in front is going to consume the more fuel than the driver that is running behind in the draft. LaPlante right now could be in fuel conservation mode. He's allowing that air to just go around his race car as the 3 is cutting it for him, and it's allowing him to maybe save a little bit of fuel. LaPlante could be borderline making it through the rest of this way. But I would be very surprised if Madeline Crenshaw is going to be able to make it without coming to pit road. We saw Carson Gum already on pit lane. And you think about it too, Carson Gum didn't come to pit road under, well actually no, he did come to pit road back on the pits open at lap 5. So I would say Crenshaw and LaPlante, if they did stay out and they can't make it, they're going to have to pit probably within the next 5 to 7 laps, which would be around 4 to 7 laps left in this race. As they're 1-2, the battle continues back here, and the reason why this battle is so important is this could potentially be the battle for the win if Crenshaw and LaPlante can't make it on fuel. Jacob Rowe's right now in the third position, 3 wide for 4th. Christian Merrick Jr., Noah Cars, and Phil Parker. Angel Navarro and James Qualls also in this pack. Then you got another pack behind these drivers. Carson Gum, the lap car. Then there's Kyle Keith, James Shelly with his teammate Ralph Mason. Jordan Anderson, Matthew Gallagher, Elijah Gilbert, and Chris Dollerton. drivers might be gaining on this pack. So we may end up having one big pack here pretty soon. Let's see, it was about 2.6 seconds, 2.8 seconds separation between Qualls and Keith. We'll see if that closes up at all next lap around. It'll be 10 laps to go when Crenshaw hits the line. I just do not see, especially with the cars being just two cars out here on the front, I just don't see either one of them having the opportunity to save enough fuel to make it the rest of the way. They have to be thinking everybody else can't make it. They have to be thinking that. But we're just going to have to see how the strategy plays out. Sounds like there may be some traffic up ahead. A couple of damaged machines. A Lagasee in the 90, M Pontzer in the 28, just limping around trying to get the best finish they can. Both were involved in the big one that took place back on lap 4. And then there's A Baranauskas, who is 2 for 2 in getting involved in wrecks today. Been involved in both of our yellow flags. Meanwhile, this battle continues to heat up. That gap between Qualls and Keith still remains at about 2.8 seconds. So not only is this group not gaining on the top 2, but the second big pack is not gaining on the first big pack. So everything is right now at a bit of a standstill, a bit of a status quo. That time by 3.2 seconds of separation. So that second pack lost even more ground to this first pack. And don't be surprised if you see some drivers diving for pit road here in these closing stages, because maybe my calculator is broken, that being the calculator in my head, but I just do not see these drivers being able to make it the entire rest of the way. But sometimes I'm wrong, and a lot of times drivers surprise me, so this may not be the first time. Eight laps to go here at Daytona. Crenshaw looking for her first win and her first career start in the Pizza Hut X Series. Same for Osborne LaPlante. The problem for LaPlante is if both drivers, and this is a big if both drivers are able to make it the entire way on fuel, LaPlante is missing something very important that he would need in order to battle for this race lead, and that is a drafting partner. And the nearest drafting partner to him is over 3 seconds back. So LaPlante would have to do it on his own or with the help of a slower machine. And he's going to maybe try and utilize the two of Baranauskas to close the gap, but Crenshaw did a pretty efficient job getting by the Delta Airlines Chevrolet, so there's another opportunity for LaPlante gone. Next car these drivers would encounter, M McIntire, Alexander Rowe, Cole Deaver, and RJ Reynolds. They are about a straightaway ahead of Crenshaw. I don't necessarily think they'll be caught, but then again, you never know. I'm surprised to see Cole Deaver running as far back as he is. We just saw him there fighting on the tail end of the lead lap, and he was up front battling for the race lead for a good portion of the first half of this race, so I don't know what went wrong on his car between the first and second pit stops, but maybe an incident on pit road. It's not the first time that we've seen pit road be a problem for drivers here this weekend. And Cole Deaver might have very well made contact with someone on the pit lane and had to get some damage repaired. 4.3 seconds, the gap from the top 2 back to 3rd place. Right now, 3rd place in control of Jacob Rose as this pack kind of breaking up like a grenade, trying to get around the slower machines, and now A Navarro moves into the 3rd position. Merrick Jr. to the inside for 4th. Phil Parker offering the help. Noah Carson the outside line, the car they're trying to pass. And all of a sudden, oh, trouble! Someone blew up. Is that Merrick or is that Parker? Christian Merrick Jr. is blown up. Right in front of Phil Parker, Christian Merrick Jr., his car has blown up with about 5 laps to go. He was running in the 6th position. And the engine's gone south. The engine, there is no power in that car now. The question is, if his car comes to a stop, would they throw the caution? What I was going to mention is this second group with Jordan Anderson, James Shelly, Ralph Mason. They have now started to catch up, and they are up with this group of drivers from 3rd on back through 7th. So it is not over for those positions. What a tough break there for Merrick Jr., and he has had to teleport to pit road, so we will not have a caution. There is 4 laps to go. And again, like I said, don't know if these drivers can make it. 4 more circuits, 3.5 now on the back straightaway. Can Crenshaw make it? Can LaPlante make it? If not, someone from 3rd on back could be poised to take this race win. More traffic up ahead that Crenshaw and LaPlante will have to deal with. More opportunities for LaPlante to maybe able to try and take this race win away from Crenshaw. 3 laps to go as they hit the stripe. Chevy versus Ford. That's that pack of 4 we were talking about before. Alexander Rowe, R.J. Reynolds, C Deaver, and the lap car of M McIntire. McIntire is a teammate to Crenshaw, so I don't think he'll get in the way, but I don't know what alliances the 34, 15, and 09 have. Crenshaw trying to get to the inside of M McIntire. LaPlante trying to use the outside line. He might be able to do it. He's trying to push M McIntire by. Can't do it, though. He's going to duck back low behind the 3, who now gets the inside of the 34. 2 laps to go. Still the question, can they make it? LaPlante's right there. Would he try and make a move? Is this group fast enough that they'd be able to offer him some drafting help? They're going to catch another race car momentarily. Can't make out who that was. Oh, that's P.J. Williams in the 48. And nope, those two, LaPlante and Crenshaw, are going to leave those others in the dust, so there goes any potential drafting help for LaPlante. Crenshaw to the inside on P.J. Williams will put him a lap down. Is Crenshaw going to have to come to pit road? It'll be the white flag this time by. Crenshaw does not make any move toward pit lane, but P.J. Williams does in the 48. White flag displayed. Can Crenshaw make it on fuel? She's going to try it. LaPlante in second. LaPlante hoping she runs out. LaPlante might be a little bit better on fuel than Crenshaw, but Crenshaw just trying to make it around. If I'm LaPlante, I'd move out of line, not offer any draft to the 3. Let her continue to run out of fuel. Just running behind is going to help kind of propel her forward a bit. Crenshaw gasping for fuel. It has to be. But is there enough to get her back to the start-finish line? LaPlante has no help. He needs the 3 to run out of fuel, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Fuel conservation at its finest. Madeline Crenshaw wins her first career Pizza Hut X Series race today at the Power Shares 300 QQQ at Daytona. And again, this is why I'm not a crew chief. This is why I'm not a driver. I had Madeline Crenshaw dead to rights on not being able to make it on fuel. And boy, did she prove me wrong. Talk about a debut race for Madeline Crenshaw. And I told you, Michael Norman Motorsports, they know how to build super speedway setups. They are 1 for 1 so far this season in the Pizza Hut X Series. And now the question, it's way early to think about it, but we have to say it. Has Madeline Crenshaw just locked herself up a spot in the Pizza Hut X Series chase for the championship this season? You never know. Standings should be official as Crenshaw gets it done. LaPlante had everything but a drafting partner to help push him by Crenshaw, but it is an all-rookie podium here today. Crenshaw with the win, LaPlante in second, and Noah Cars brings it home in third. Angel Navarro gets fourth, Jordan Anderson fifth, Then it's Jacob Rose, Phil Parker, Kyle Keith, James Qualls, and James Shelly completing your top 10. Ralph Mason gets 11th, Matthew Daleo in 12th, Chris Dollerton 13th, the former champion, defending champion Elijah Gilbert in 14th, Aiden Shepard 15th, Zach Flickinger 16th, then it was Matt Haas 17th, 18th was J Jefferson, Glenn Douthitt in 19th, and William Brock completed the top 20. He was the last car to finish on the lead lap. Everybody else finished off the lead lap. Alexander Rowe, Cole Deaver, RJ Reynolds, Carson Gum, A Baranauskas, PJ Williams, Noah Pontzer, A Lagasee, and M McIntire finished 3 laps down in 29th. Everybody else finished out of the race. We saw Christian Merrick Jr. His engine blew with about 6 laps to go. He finishes 30th. Scott Roush out of the race along with Kyle Langeland. Joshua Osborne, Ashlyn Boyd checked and released from the Infield Care Center after that wild tumble in turn 1. Patrick Curtis, Daniel Olson, Dawson Wise, Benny Watson, Dougie Shears, Ryan George, Chloe Ericsson, and Chelsea Bowles completed the rest of the field, but all behind the wall, most of them after lap number 4. So that is going to do it here today from Daytona. We've got one more race to cap off this race weekend. You guessed it. It's the extravaganza of the 5th annual running of the Hershey's Cup Series Daytona 500, and that takes place tomorrow. So far, we've had some very interesting drivers go to victory lane this week. Tony Green winning the Truck Series race. Pizza Next Series win today going to Madeline Crenshaw, who will take the checkers tomorrow in the Great American Race. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race from Daytona. If you did, be sure to give us a video like, subscribe to become part of the crew today. We've shown you full finish results, and these are your point standings heading into next week when the drivers will head for their second race of the season at Rio de Janeiro. Till then, I'm Seth Cole signing off. We'll see you tomorrow for the Daytona 500 as you've been watching a production of the SRA Offline Racing at its best.